Welcome to day 2 of the Knowing Masterclass. The knowing is all about how to know ourselves and to create that sense of self so that we know what it means to be in integrity with ourselves, to tell ourselves the truth, to have confidence, because confidence, if you recall our definition yesterday, is the ability to keep the promises we make to ourselves, the ability to confide in ourselves, to be able to trust ourselves. And it's the ability to figure things out, right? The ability to get good at getting good at things. So that really is the definition we're working with. So we've got a lot of great work to do tonight. We're going to do this in the next hour. I'm going to share with you the next step of how to actually train your brain to be this confident person that you value being. We are going to talk about what the next steps would be to grow your confidence in your business and in your life. I'm going to be sharing with you how you can work with me in Ascente, which is my high performance business sales and high performance lifestyle mastermind with success driven women and CEOs and entrepreneurs and leaders of teams that want to take everything in their life higher. So I'll be sharing with you at the end about that. But before we jump in, I was saying yesterday that I wanted to give a gift to someone if they shared this masterclass. And Steffi, who's on, she is the winner of the gift. And Steffi, I am going to send you a signed copy of Mind Your Own Business. And I might throw in something else. So I'm excited. Please get your address to Kara and I will send that to you. Thank you for sharing. You know, you can appreciate this. The highest compliment anyone could give me is to share my work with their trusted friends and colleagues. That is a big deal. It's one thing to promote yourself, but to have other people promote you in their circle of influence is the highest praise you could give me. It means a lot to me. I don't take it lightly. Okay, so pull out your worksheets if you want, but I want to share with you, I want to start with a story from my family. And I think given the definition that we talked about yesterday, you'll appreciate this story. So a couple of years ago around the dinner table, we have 3 kids, Grace, Emily, and Zachary. And let's see, they were probably 3 years younger. So Grace was 17, Emily was like 14, and Zachary was like 8. And we play this game in our family around the kitchen table. What's your favorite? So I don't know if you've ever played What's Your Favorite, but we play What's Your Favorite? Like, what's your favorite animal? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite, season? All your favorites. And Gracie said, I know, let's go around and share what's our favorite thing about ourselves. I was like, okay, that sounds great. I can't wait to hear this. So we get to Zachary, and he's little at the time, and he is in soccer, and he's getting ready for this jogathon, which is like this fundraiser at his school where really they just jog around the school and that's it, right? And he's like, well, favorite thing about myself is I'm a great soccer player and I will win the jogathon. I will be the fastest kid at the jogathon, which was, adorable. Okay. This isn't the point of the story, but he ends up saying, what do I need to do to have strong legs? He's like, what are those things you do at the gym? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, those things you go up and down. I said, squats? And he's like, yeah, squats. I go, okay, yeah, that's what you need for strong legs. He goes, okay, because my teacher said he's standing right here. Teacher said I need strong legs if I'm going to win the jogathon. So that night he came home from school and he's like, can you set the timer for 20 minutes? I'm like, you're going to do 20 minutes of squats? He goes, well, yeah, I need to 20 minutes of squats every night that week. Friday was the jogathon. He came home with the medal around his neck. Okay, but we get to Emily and she says, she's 13, 14 at the time. She says, favorite thing about myself is I'm the kindest person that I know. And she's sweet pea Emily. I mean, she's just the cutest, sweetest, kindest heart. Then we get to Gracie. And this truly is the definition of confidence. So we get to Gracie and she's like, well, favorite thing about myself is put me in any environment and I will thrive. And I was like, well, my favorite thing is that I have children that say those things. Like I just, growing up as a young woman who did not have that confidence in herself, it was just such a treat to hear that. Put me in any environment and I will thrive is the definition of confidence, is the idea of, I might not know how to do the thing yet, but I can figure it out, right? I can count on me. I've got my back. So this is where you're going to be. You're going to say, just like Grace, put me in any environment and I will thrive. So, all right, we kind of know I know it gives me goosebumps too, Kara. The stage is set. We understand that confidence is not about fear or not having fear. We understand it's not about goals or proclaiming that I'm going to do this thing by this time, but it's about, I'm going to figure things out when they're new. So I want to set the stage. I want you to think about the definition of being an entrepreneur. Okay. The definition of being an entrepreneur, and I might say a bad word, so hopefully no kids are around, but Snoop Dogg said it best when Snoop Dogg said, an entrepreneur is someone who creates epic shit for the rest of their life. Okay. So your job, should you choose the assignment as an entrepreneur, is to create something that has not existed. My understanding of the human brain and my understanding of human psychology is kind of in opposition of the definition of being an entrepreneur. Let me explain. So we kind of have a problem here. The human brain is designed to gather all the information, all the data that we have so far, to make the world predictable, safe, to have us feel like we are in control, to collect data, to predict the future, to assess risk, to do all these things. So in a nutshell, our brain does a bunch of things. Its job is to keep us safe. Its job is to turn randomness into order, to make sense of things. Its job is to protect us from failing, to protect us from rejection, to protect us from looking like a fool, to protect us from going bankrupt, to protect us from, you get the point, right? Our brain's job is also to compare and rank and judge and order, which can be a minefield when you're an entrepreneur. And it does a really good job, doesn't it? I bet your brain's doing, it has done a pretty good job of saying things like, let's just collect the data so far. So you insert what entrepreneurs do. They say, I'm going to create something that's never been done before. We now know that confidence is about saying, I'm going to figure this out. But the brain is like, I'm not sure if you are picking up the data that we have. Okay. You want that, but you've never created anything even close to that. Or who do you think you are wanting to create that? You've never done that before. Or you want to just go and do this new thing, but you don't have any experience doing that thing, or, and so it really is doing its job. It's just protecting us. And so if that's the case, and that's what brains are going to do, we're going to have to figure out how to have a different relationship with our brains. And that's the coolest thing. And it's called neuroplasticity. It's just a fancy word, right? For we can change the way that our brains operate. We can change where our brains automatically go. And what I want you to understand is, for the rest of your life, as you change the way your brain works, you're going to be able to change some of your first thoughts, but not all of them. And so what I'm going to position for you is this idea of, you're not in control of your first thought, but you're in control of your second thought. So no longer do I want you to be alarmed by your first thought. There will be struggles that I believe are yours on this journey of your life that kind of have a common thread to them that may appear for the rest of your life. You may never, this is the bad news, you may never fully outrun your main core wound, your main core negative thing, the thing that you are here to overcome on this earth. For me, it's, am I good enough? For you, it might be, will I ever be loved? For you, it might be, do I have what it takes? For you, it might be, will I ever fit in? I don't know what it is for you, but I don't want you to be surprised if it shows up in different forms as you progress through your life. Now, this is profound to know so that you won't be caught off guard. Because I remember thinking for the last couple of years of like, I thought I was over that. Thought I was, really? That thought's going to come up again? I thought I had done my work. I paid the coach $30,000 and I conquered that. And I can't believe it's back. That must mean I didn't really do the work. That must mean it's true, that what my brain's been telling me all along is true. Like, if you don't understand that the core wound is going to repeat itself, it could take you out because your confidence will just go like a pin in a balloon. So I want, like, that's going to save you a lot of struggle, I think, knowing to expect that it might visit you throughout the rest of your life. But here's the best news of all. With the technique I'm going to share with you tonight, that negative thought or the wound that's going to be the visitor throughout your life, it will come around less often. And when it does come around, it will be less believable and it will be less intense and it will be less, it will be shorter in duration. Your resilience around the thing, your bounce back ability will be so different. So I want you to kind of look at and think about where in your life has that core wound repeated itself, but it's going to meet a new version of you. So let's say next week I hire my next coach to take me to the next level. Let's just say I did that. I would almost place my bets that in some shape or form, my core wound will rear its ugly head. I can almost predict it because it's just had such a great track record. But I'm like so quick to be like, of course you're here. Like, look at what I'm doing. I'm cutting the check. Like, of course you always come around when I make the big moves, right? Or, and you'll notice your patterns in your life. So one, you'll be able to like have a relationship with it and have that distance between it and you. But you can't necessarily control that it comes around. You can't control all your first thoughts. Your first thoughts are automatic in many, many levels and might be for the rest of your life. And I just think it's good news to know this is how life works and our brains work so that you're not surprised and that you don't miscategorize it as you're not making progress. So let me give you an idea, an example. If I say the word money, what's the first thought you think of? What's the first word that comes to mind? Whatever it is, good or bad, that's been based on your history. If I say black cat, what's the first word that comes to mind? Totally stuffy, totally scary. I know. Then others have a black cat and they're like, oh, it's Snickers, my cat. I love Snickers. And you're like, black cats are terrifying, right? Right? You can't control the first thing that comes to mind when I say the thing. The same is true when we're looking at this entrepreneurship thing, right? If I say the word rich, can't necessarily control what comes up in your mind. No problem. No problem. Success, if I say that, something's going to come up. So we are going to train the brain to move from the category of probability to possibility. That's in the simplest version. That's what you're doing. When you're creating something new, you're creating something you've never done before. You don't have the end of the movie to prove to yourself it's going to be okay. You don't have any evidence for what people will think of you. You don't know. You don't have it. So how do you take that leap? You're moving from probability, the brain saying, let me calculate. You want to be a millionaire this year. You've never even come close. So let's see. No, let's try to protect you from that failure and being let down once again. Let's not do that. I called a close family member probably a month ago. This was crazy, you guys. I said, I'm just working with a coach right now, and I'm just kind of exploring like my relationship with money. And I'm just wondering what we talked about in money with our family growing up. Like, I just wonder where I got things from, and these thoughts about money and my limitation beliefs about money, because I still have some of them, right? And this family member said, well, have you ever thought about how much money you desire? I'm like, oh yeah. And I have it down to the dollar, because that's what I teach. I teach you all to do that. You have specificity of your ideal income. And I said, I'll just share with you. I said, my first step is $33,000 a month. I've known it. I've known that number. I know exactly where every dollar will go. And the family member said, well, okay, well, that's a lot. And I said, yeah, well, that's my number. And the family member said, well, maybe you should just lower the number. I was like, that's not what? Like, but that's the brain. The brain's like, well, let's not suffer anymore. Let's protect you. It's like, let's take this pain away, The family member said, have you ever thought your number's too high? I'm like, no, I've never thought my number is too high. Okay, so with neuroplasticity, we can train our brain to change, okay? You've already done this in your life. I want you to think about in a time where you have had a negative thought that you have changed over the course of your life. Maybe it was, I used to think, and now I think. I used to think money was the root of all evil, and now I think it is the pathway to freedom, right? Like, I used to think money was evil, and now I think it's just energy. I used to think that to be successful, you had to, work 4 times as much, and now I know it's just a different strategy. I used to think I would die if I had to speak in front of people, and now I do this for a living and try to do it as much as possible, okay? So where in your life have you had a limiting belief or fear, and now you believe something new? You have created a new neural pathway in your brain. And here's kind of what happens when we do it. When we've had a thought for many, many years, or it's like a well-traveled pathway in your brain. So I want you to think of like a field of grass. And if I wanted to go to Heather's house, and Heather was across the field, and every day I wanted to go and have my coffee with Heather, which would be a dream come true. Someday we will live in Cabo, and we will have a path in the sand, and I will be like, and there will be a little pebble path. But let's say let's just go with that. There's a big beach of grass, of sand, sorry. And I want to go, and I go the same route. Over time, there's going to be this groove in the sand because it's well-traveled. We always take that path. That's what your brain has with neural pathways that have been well-traveled. When you think of money, you think of your well-traveled path. Your brain goes straight there. If you change the pathway, you can change the path. So with the grass example, when you change the pathway, it's like the grass grows up over the old path and you've created a new one. We would create a new line in the sand, right? The sand would shimmy and the waves would come and it would remove our path, and there would be a new path. Okay. So this is what can happen with our brains. Like, we literally can change, which is so great, because that's the good news, right? If our brains are going to just collect data, that's the good news, that they're malleable. I thought money led to arguments. Yes. Because that's what happened in your family. And now you realize, no, it actually creates peace, not arguments. Did you guys hear that? Money creates peace, not arguments. That is a possible thought to have. And Heather believes that to be true. I believe that to be true. There are people that say, no, it absolutely does not create peace. I have the data to prove it, and we do. We have the data to prove it. And so we had to think about, I've never seen where people have tons of money and it creates peace, but I know it's possible. I know it's possible. I had never seen my body transform into a string bikini, but I knew it was possible, right? Okay, so Heather's heard me do these exercises before, but Heather, bring your current version of yourself to the table, and I know you will, because the you that has heard these exercises 3 years ago is different than the you now. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. Okay, so on page 13, I have this exercise where we write a letter to our comfort zone and we break up with it. And so I want you to think about, this is just a fun exercise to kind of hold in your back pocket for when you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're trying to think about, like, well, why would I want to step out of my comfort zone? Okay. So this is the letter that you can think about writing for yourself. Dear comfort zone, I'm just not that into you. At first I thought you were good for me because, so who wants to share in the chat? Think about where you're comfortable right now in your business or your life or your health or your relationships, but like there's greatness on the other side of your comfort. But why is comfort so seductive? Why is comfort so attractive? Why is playing it safe, or why has it been a place that we're like, no, I'm good. I want to stay here in my comfort zone. At first, I thought you were good for me because you kept me safe. You kept me from falling flat on my face. You kept me from making any wrong decisions. You kept me from criticism. The comfort zone's great for lots of things, but it's not great for an entrepreneur, is it? It's great for staying comfortable, but it's not great for doing epic for the rest of your life, right? Like Snoop Dogg says. So we have this relationship with this comfort zone. First, I was totally into you, but I'm not anymore. I thought you were good for me because, and then now I realize we have to go our separate ways. So it's like you're breaking up with your comfort zone. So I want you to write your, oh my gosh, Heather, your Dear John letter to your comfort zone. Heather's ex was named John. So write your Dear John letter to your comfort zone. Okay. All right. If you've been in my world, you've heard about the bless and release method. Before we do this method, this is the methods that's going to help you build the confidence. I want you to hold in your mind's eye right now, and you're going to be walking through this with me on page 14. I want you to think of what your current limiting belief is, the one that just drives you nuts, the one that is scary, the one that is your mental block. What is that fear? If you want to share, we would love to hear, but just if you want to hold that to yourself, that's beautiful too. This is the method. It's 4 steps. This is new age cognitive behavioral therapy. This is what works. This is the science of 35 years. This is it. I created this technology called Bless and Release. You'll always remember it, and it will serve you so well. The first step, there's 4. The first step is just to simply observe it without judgment, which is such a big, profound skill to learn in your life. I don't want to gloss over it because we all hear this, like just observe your thought. But I want you to understand the power of, what if it's true that we aren't all of our thoughts and that not all of our thoughts are true? When it comes to negative limiting beliefs, this is really good news, because otherwise I would have been a failure by now. I would have been, unsuccessful right now. There would have been no hope for me right now. The list could go on and on, right? Like, it's not true. It's not necessarily true. And whether I even know if it's true or not, I can have a new relationship with it. And I can ask instead, I don't know if this thought is true or not, but how's it working for me? That's not a part of the bless and release, but I really want you to hold that question in your mind. I really want you to stop asking instead of asking, is this right or wrong? Am I going to be a success or not? Is this going to happen for me or not? Am I ever going to? No, that thought's not, I don't know. I just know it doesn't serve me to ask myself that question. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't lead to a good feeling thought. It leads me to anxiety and questioning. And so what other questions might I ask myself? So the first step is I'm having the thought that, so whatever you just said was your negative belief or fear, you're literally going to put, I'm having the thought that in front of it. So let's just go with an example of, I'm having the thought that I may never fully actualize my potential. Like I've been dreaming for a really long time. I've been working on my dream and I'm having the thought that it might never actually happen. Okay, I'm having the thought that it might not actually ever happen. Step number 2 is you're going to learn how to validate your thoughts. And the best way that I can think of how to do this is to put this phrase in front of your thought. It makes perfect sense. I'm having this thought because. And then I want you to go search in your history, search for what people have told you about that, search from the data you've collected, search, and you might find the answer. So let's say I'm having the thought that money causes problems, that money causes relationship problems, and I really want a relationship, but I really want money. And so I'm pretty much sure I can't have both. I'm having the thought that I can't have both. You could say it makes perfect sense. I'm having this thought because I've never seen that happen in my life. And in fact, I've seen that money causes relationship problems. Makes perfect sense. I'm having that thought because that's what my parents modeled to me my whole entire life. I mean, it does, right? Here's the thing. If you don't know exactly why it makes perfect sense, you're going to insert just the idea that I must have learned it somewhere. Okay? Because you did not come out of the womb as a baby having a thought about money. Do we agree? Yes or yes? Okay. We didn't come out of the womb having any thoughts really about anything. So whatever it is, whether you know where this thought came from or not, it makes perfect sense because you're a human and you must have picked it up somewhere. It was modeled to you or you deduced that must be the case. Okay. So you're validating. You're like, oh, it makes perfect sense. I'm terrified of speaking on stage because my sister for all of my life told me I was a terrible storyteller. True statement. Like, oh, it makes perfect sense. I would be terrified because here I go to tell a story, right? Like, right? It makes perfect sense. Okay. Like, Step 3. This is where it gets crazy, folks. We're going to thank your brain. You're going to thank your brain for this negative thought. What do I mean by this? You're going to say, thank you, brain, for trying to protect me. Thank you. Thank you for alerting me. Thank you. Oh my God. You are doing your job so well. I love this because allowing ourselves to have those thoughts helps to not continue to have them over and over again. This is true, Steffi. There is a fancy word in psychology. We call it cognitive fusion. And it is cognitive thoughts fuse as we get fused. Whatever we say we can't have, we actually fuse with it even more. Steffi, I have $1 million for you. If you do not think of a pink elephant between now and tomorrow, I will give you the $1 million. Steffi would not earn the $1 million and no one would earn the $1 million, right? And if I say, no, really, like, don't ever think of that again and don't think about it tonight. Whatever we can't allow in will get bigger. Robin Sharma calls this hug the monster. In psychology, we would call it, in dialectical behavior therapy, we would call it feed the beast. And it's this idea of like, invite it in and be like, yeah, I see you, anxiety. Thank you for showing up to try to protect me. And what this allows you to do is get defused from it. So the technique we're doing is cognitive diffusion, which actually makes the negative thoughts go away. So in reality, the result of bless and release is you will have these negative thoughts less, which is our goal. but the pathway is to hang out with them, which is so like living in opposite world. It's like, what? The what? Okay. Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me from. Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me from having a failed relationship by not making any money. So I won't make any money because I want a relationship. So thank you for trying to protect me from messing up a relationship. Like, okay, you're trying to protect me. And step 4 is where the magic happens. I call it the power of the pivot. And this is where we choose something different. This is where we have a new relationship with our brain, with our thought, and we kind of tell it what we think about it. And we decipher and discern what's true now in our life, or where we are actually safe, or where we have new resources that we didn't have, or how things have changed, or how we now view success and failure, or what we've now learned about money, or whatever we're dealing with, right? So the power of the pivot. You know what? Got it. Things are different now, though. My sister's not in the audience. I've taken a speaking, I've become, I hired a speaking coach. And the last 3 times I spoke, I got a standing ovation. So I think I'm pretty good at storytelling, brain, but thanks for showing up. I'm trying to protect me. But times have changed, it's like, or I'm safe now. What used to be the rules no longer apply. Or I define success differently now. Or I'm a woman that's going to figure it out if it doesn't go the way I hope that it does. Or I'm a woman now that can show up for disappointment. Or my capacity for disappointment is so much greater than it used to be. I got this. Or I am a totally different version of myself, and my skill set when it comes to X, Y, and Z has changed. Okay. This path is the path to freedom. And this path will change the neural pathway and create the new groove in the sand, the new groove in the grass. Would anyone love to share their example and get my coaching, or just have us hear your example? If not, that's okay. Would anyone like to share their 4 steps?
I can go.
Oh, good. It looks like Heather's going to go too. Okay,
Oh,
go,
Heather.
Steffi.
Heather can go ahead first. It's
Oh,
okay.
oh, go ahead, Steffi.
Okay. So for me, when I first started my business, I was very much like, I'm not gonna spend money on coaches. There is a lot of free resources out there on YouTube, and I'm just gonna like go binge watch everything and take a bunch of notes. And I did that for maybe like a month, and then I got overwhelmed, and I had to tell myself that it's okay to invest in myself. It's okay to invest in a coach, because it was for my own growth so that I can expand and get out of my comfort zone. And I definitely kept getting those memories back when my parents would say, like, people that are selling stuff just want to take your money. It's not that they actually care about giving you solutions. And I had that in the back of my mind, and I had to keep telling myself, no, I choose to not think like that anymore. And I choose to believe that it's investing in myself. It's not wasting money.
Wow, what a great example. So I'm having the thought that these coaches might just be ripping me off. It might be a scam, and that this is a waste of my money. Makes perfect sense. I'm having this thought because
My parents always told me that.
yes, thank you, brain, for trying to protect me from
Losing my money.
and things are different now, and
I choose to invest in myself.
yay, Steffi. You can use that strategy with whatever comes your way, and because remember, it's going to keep coming because you're paying attention and you're a human and you're having growth. So beautiful. Thank you, Steffi. Heather.
Okay, so mine was I am having the thought that I will never achieve my big goal of becoming the millionaire that I've always wanted to be. And then the other one was, I'm having the thought that I may never lose this 20 pounds.
Yes. Can we
Right.
relate? Can we
Okay.
relate?
So it makes
Yes.
perfect sense because I was told that my job was always safe and anything not a job was unsafe.
Ooh.
Yeah. Security is always best.
Ooh.
And so your sister told you that you were not a storyteller. Well, mine's told me that I was chunky growing up. Um, so, and then, so I thank my brain for trying to protect me because I knew that, you know, I thank my brain for protecting me against that or for that because, you know, I was fat or become a millionaire. But things are different now. So I can move forward because I'm aware and I've learned my lessons. I've listened. I've had the universal smackdown at least 4 times in the last 3 years. So I know that I can always come out the other side. And what we go through, we can survive. So I know now that what's possible and I'm safe. And so I can build my business differently. I can be more aware. Money is my friend and I treat it with respect. Money also flows in and out, and I am calm and I am open to receive. And I also know that I can lose weight when I am ready because I have the tools, I have the belief, and I have people who believe in me.
Oh, thank you. That was profound. I know your tone, Heather, your tone has changed. Heather and I are calming down in our lives, aren't we? We're calming it down a little bit. Glenn and Joel's like, there's a reason it's calmed down. And we're just kind of getting grounded, a little bit more grounded, right?
Well, and I think when you can live in a state of chaos, drama, stress, but I've been okay all the way along. And I also have learned, interestingly enough, that can I share a story, Dr. Erin? Do we have like 2 minutes? Okay. So when I moved into my apartment, when I was looking for a condo, I learned after I moved into my condo, I prayed hard for my condo and it happened very fast. And I knew it was going to be because that's what happens when something's aligned, it happens quick. And so I learned after I found my beautiful condo that the lady upstairs, because I put an offer in on my condo and I moved in within 2 weeks. The lady upstairs told me that one day, about 2 weeks prior to the move out date, they prayed for the lady that lived in the condo because she wasn't happy here and she needed to go because she was having money issues. And all of a sudden, when they prayed that prayer, within the next day, there was an offer on the house. And then she accepted it that same day within the hour. And 2 weeks later, I moved in. So sometimes we pray for things, but sometimes we're also the prayer or the answer to someone else's prayer. So with that, I just know that as I'm praying for things, someone's praying for me to either be the answer to their prayers or is the answer to mine. So it goes both ways.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, this whole like, I'm going to try again to lose the weight. Whenever we're trying to do something that we failed at before, you know, the brain is just like, really? Like if we don't go after it, though, we don't have to be disappointed and we don't have to feel like a failure if we fail, and we, you know, it can be really alluring. And we get to tell our brains that, you know what, I'm capable of being a new version of me. I'm always capable of changing. I'm always capable, as Heather would say, of rewriting my story. Like the universal laws are more powerful than me. Science is more powerful than piddly little me. If I do the behaviors to lose weight, I will lose weight. I am not that powerful of a creature that it will not work for me, you know, is another thing that we can tell ourselves. It's the same with the $1 million thing. It's like, if I keep behaving in the same ways that a millionaire does, eventually success will be inevitable for me or whatever, right? Like And I'm not saying we have full control, right? We talked about that yesterday. We don't know. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get to meet Oprah on this side of heaven. But what I do know is I will never at the end of my life say, well, that didn't work. If you can kind of project out to the end, would you ever say on your deathbed, I failed, that didn't work? If you are a woman on this call, you're not going to say that because you're a woman that's going for it, whatever that is in your life. And the going for it and being the woman that says, I don't quite know how it's going to turn out, but I know that I'm a woman that's going to show up to find out. That alone is the success. On my deathbed, I might be like, that would have been fun. That really would have been fun to meet Oprah. Like, okay, all right. But there's there's going to be no fail. It didn't work out. It didn't work. So what changes in your mindset when you take that off the table? If there was nothing to prove and nothing to figure out, like, am I gonna actually reach it? How would you show up then? What would that look like then? How would that change your playfulness then? How would that change your level of curiosity and wonder? How would that allow you to trust the journey and enjoy the journey? If there was nothing to prove, if you've already taken off the table, there is no failing, there is only learning, there is just experiencing, like, yes, and more confident because there's less pressure, less fear, because I believe the ego is just defined as anything that's not true from source, which means it's fear. Ego is just those layers of fear or lessons we've learned from people or false teachings or like viruses in the system. That's just what ego is. If we are born and created from God, then, anything that's not that is just fear. Yeah. So, one of our mentors, Melanie Ann Lair, pointed out once, like, you're afraid it's going to happen, but you're actually experiencing the fear right now. So you're afraid right now. That's silly. Like, we don't have to be afraid then. We're already afraid right now. Let's take it off the table. It doesn't mean your desire for it will go away. I still really have a lot of dreams that I want to have happen, and I'm still working for those dreams. I'm still working on my ability to attract those dreams. Well, sorry, my speakers just fell. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. So it's not like, well, I don't know, so I'll just see how it goes or give up. Desire is still fine, but fear doesn't need to run the show. Stay in your desires. Your desires are from God. It's like follow the breadcrumbs that God leaves. It's one desire to the next. That's your lifetime. One desire to the next. Okay, the last thing I want to say about confidence is not a cognitive mental trick. It's actually a competency related trick. And the last thing I want to say about confidence is the other way to grow your confidence is to skill up. There is something that in the high performance world we call the confidence competence loop. And it's kind of exciting because this is what's in your control. Like, you have the ability to control the acquisition of a skill, the acquisition of knowledge, the acquisition of mastery through consistency, the practicing of the thing to skill up. Because when you skill up, what happens with your confidence? It goes up. It's too tall of an order to ask ourselves to have the confidence if we don't know how to do the thing. It's a really tall order. It's like you wouldn't just throw someone on the stage and be like, give the keynote, just, you've got this. I'd be like, no, I have no confidence I could give a keynote. Well, because you don't know how to give one. No problem. We can skill up. So when you notice that you're scared or you're feeling a lack of confidence, ask yourself, is this something where I can skill up? Is this a skills acquisition opportunity? And often it will be. I don't know how to do that. Well, where can you learn the skills to do that? So where in your business or your life can you skill up? Put in the comments, where do you want to skill up? And it might stem from a place of feeling a lack of confidence. Might be like, I don't really feel super confident doing this thing, but I know it's important in my business. And so what I can do is go get the skills. That's what you've done, Steffi, when you hired me as your coach. You're like, I don't know how to do that, but I will hire a tour guide that has gone this path and knows the bumps and knows the pitfalls and knows how to get there faster and knows how to get there smoother. And, you know, that's why I've hired so many coaches. It's like, they have what I want. I will go learn from them. Yes. So Steffi's confidence about talking about her offer is going to go through the roof as she learns how to talk about her offer. Oh, that's how you do that skillfully. Oh, there's a strategy behind that. Oh, that word increases the closing rate. Oh, it's like all of your confidence will be like, give me a sales call because I got this, you know? So where else would you like to skill up? You know, I told you I'd be sharing a little bit about Ascente, but you're all here. You're in Ascente. Heather knows about Ascente, but you know, Ascente is the mastermind where we skill up. We skill up in everything necessary to have a successful business and life, to have world-class relationships, health, wealth, confidence, influence, sales, all the things. Yes. Okay. So we could role play, Kara. We could role play how to talk about the higher life, and then your confidence will go up about it. Yeah. Because remember, the confidence comes after the behavior so often. So if any of you are listening to the replay, I will tell you there's an awesome, awesome bonus with Ascente right now. You can ask Kara, she's in Ascente. You can ask Heather what it's like to work with me because she's been a client of mine. And you can ask Steffi, she's a one-on-one client of mine. She's in Ascente. We can give you other people to chat with if you want, but Ascente is a masterpiece. Ascente is somewhere where we meet every single week and you rise up and you take everything in your life to the next level with other women that want to do the same thing. It's high performance business, sales, strategy, mindset, self-mastery. And right now, anyone who enrolls in Ascente, you will get to be in Ascente for $450 a month, and you'll get 2 bonus sessions with me that are one-on-one sessions. So that's the special. We always run specials when we have master classes. It's always the best time to be in the higher life and to get into my world because I love bonusing people in my master classes. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you. I'm going to end here and then we can open it up for questions. And I think we'll leave it there. So let me end the recording. Thank you for joining day 2. Reach out if you want to learn about Ascente. We've got the link for you.